I want to convince everybody that their personal brand, their online reputation is critical to their career. And I talk to people about that all the time, and what I often hear people say is, well, I can understand why my online reputation would be important if I'm looking for a job, and of course it is. But it's much more than just for job seekers. Well, let me start with the importance for job seekers, and then I'm going to talk about those of us that are gainfully employed and why it's so critical for us to have a personal brand and constantly be working on it. There's a study that was put out about a year ago from a company called Crosstab. One of their many compelling data points was that 84% of U.S. recruiters are going to check out a candidate's online reputation before they make a job offer. The study goes on to say that a candidate's online reputation is critical to their job search before they're even invited into the interview. So for job seekers, having a personal brand and developing your online reputation is extremely critical. It can even uninvite you, keep you out of opportunities that you actually might be very qualified for. So now let's talk about those of us that are gainfully employed. Why is it so important to develop your personal brand? Well, there's lots of benefits. There's lots of reasons to develop your personal brand. For one thing, you can get lots of great recognition within your company. The higher ups, your boss and your boss's bosses, depending on the size of your company, can recognize what you're doing in developing your personal brand, because when you develop your personal brand, it benefits you and your employer, if you're doing it well, of course. Secondly, developing your personal brand can get you recognition within your industry, can get you invitations to either speak or to write papers, and participate in conferences, maybe even participate in high-profile committees, maybe even chair a committee that can really give you some high-level recognition. Again, not only good for you, but also good for your employer as well. So personal branding has that benefit, again, for both the employee and the employer. So let me talk about how someone goes about developing a personal brand. It's actually quite simple. It starts with one word, and that word is content. You've got to develop a content strategy. So simply ask yourself, what are you expert at? What do you know really well? And then take that expertise, map it out into a content strategy, kind of break it down by topic, and then develop a plan to produce content around your expertise. Now, I strongly believe that the best way to do that, not that everybody does this, but the best way to do it is to develop a blog. There's lots of free blog software out there. My personal favorite is WordPress, but develop a blog, brand it around your name, try to get your domain name if it's available. If it's not, then tweak your name a little bit, use a middle initial or whatever. Get your domain name, put up a blog, have your photo on there so you're branding yourself, and then blog at least once a week about your expertise, about what you know. Don't sell, educate. Talk about what you know. Visit other blogs that are relevant in your industry around your expertise. Read what other people are saying, and then make intelligent comments on those blog posts. If you do that at least once a week, produce at least one piece of blog content on a weekly basis, and then share that blog content through the social web, and it's easy to do. You can drop links to it in LinkedIn, you can drop links to it on Twitter, on Facebook, share it and spread it. And before you know it, within a few weeks or a few months, if you're really consistent at it, if your blog content is good, you're going to start to get noticed. And you'll begin building that personal brand that I'm suggesting is so critical to your career. So that's point number one, develop a content strategy. Point number two is what I call the Nike strategy. Do you remember that commercial, that Nike commercial a few years ago, that famous slogan, just do it? That's what I'm suggesting. I talk to so many people about this, about building your personal brand, and a lot of people nod their heads and say, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. But you know how many people do it on average? Very few. So what I'm suggesting is adopt the Nike strategy. Just do it. It takes some commitment. It takes some persistence. It's a little time consuming. You may or may not be able to do it during business hours. You may have to spend some evenings and some weekends doing it. But if you do it, you can give yourself a leg up over your competition, whether you're a job seeker or you're gainfully employed, you can give yourself a leg up over your competition by developing your personal brand. So let me just summarize here. First of all, embrace the fact that your online reputation, your personal brand, is critical to your career. Start doing it by developing a content strategy, and I recommend that you do that through blogging. I didn't mention LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is also a wonderful place for you to join groups and contribute your content and get involved in those discussions. And then the third is just do it. Just break the ice. If you haven't done it already, break the ice and commit to doing it on a consistent basis. And before you know it, you start building your personal brand. Both your employer, if you're employed, and you will benefit in your career. And I think you'll be very pleased one day when you start to really see measurable results from it, tangible results. I think you'll be really pleased that you've built your personal brand.